moving. That always bugged me.
We got plenty of time to work on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Had
on
one
to the
called
next game.
Keyfrogs. We stream at Twitch, and we are just three boys that live together and play a lot of Keyforge. Played it since it came out. And we were participants in the last code, where we won like the 5th card or something, which is not the performance that we hope to do this time. This time we want to get a lot more wins. So we've also trained a bit harder, and we also have just tested our decks a lot more. So this matchup, I have chose this deck that I cannot pronounce the first part of. So it's just the second part is Devil of this Pit, and I think it's generally a very good deck for the 64 SAS, because it's really good at like creating a board and just generating a lot of value from that in a short amount of time before it gets cleared. With stuff like Taliga and Untamed Ambassador and Reaping with Orbit the Grim and stuff like that. So unless they have like a lot of board clears, I get a lot of value from these creatures, and also like group keepers to make it harder to clear the board. So my game plan generally is to just make a board, and if my opponent has a more heavy a more heavy board plan than mine, then I will just try and rush him with Full Moon and Martyr's End. Martyr's End is also a very nice card in this deck, especially with the Library of the Damned. But this matchup seems to be very nice for me because he does not have a single board clear. I have to watch out for the Amber Swings, of course, because he has 3 Runnies and 1 Burn Stockpile, which I have to be very careful about. But he does not have a lot of board control, and he doesn't have that many big creatures aside from a few in Brobnar. So that seems really nice for me. Also, of course, have to watch out for the Binding Rupture. Yeah, I've practiced with my team against this deck, where I played Mind Deck, and I think that we won. Like we did like 3 or 4 games, and I think I won all of them. Maybe I lost one of them, so it's going to be not very cool if I lose this time. There might be something that we didn't see, but I think I pretty much got in the bag as long as I play around his free remote access with my life ward, because that could be pretty devastating. So I'll just play it when he's not going to play Locus, or when he has 2 or maybe all 3 of them in his discard pile, and then just yep. Probably just that I really hope to win, because to my understanding, Can't Touch This is a very good team. So I'm really excited if I win.
I am Saurus Antonius, member of Can Touch This and Can Touch This the Wolf Pack more specifically. I'm playing Keyforge from I think the World Collide release, and since then I was playing it quite a lot, both online and on the local tournaments, with some or less success. And I first started playing KOTE during, I think it was KOTE 6, when I was training with the other Can Touch This team, and then at KOTE 7 I was able to play with Can Touch This the Wolf back then, in which we took a top 8 spot. So and that's when I really was playing into KOTE. I had a lot of fun time with it, and I decided to stick around for the next editions. And Arnkai Ravine Knight is a really fun deck. I really like it, so I stuck with it for 2 rounds. The first one was unfortunately a bye, but this one I have a nice opponent. I really love this deck because it seems really weird. It shouldn't work on paper, but it's actually really fast have lots of fun tools to toy around with. Free remote access is a complete fun thing that really can destroy some decks. Of course, sometimes it's just free printed amber, but it's better than nothing. I also find the Lull of the Titanics really fun in this deck. With this 11 power, you can trade pretty much anything from the opponent's board as long as it doesn't have elusive. And of course, free run your wrist locks, usual Age of Ascension stuff to keep my opponent from forging their keys. We were practicing with Can't Touch This as usual, and I am quite scared because their deck has more creatures than I have, the better ways of protecting them, and a bit more creature control, a bit more reliably with Common Cold and Save the Pack. And the easiest way for me to lose this game is simply lose the control of the board, and then I can't really regain it. I don't have tools to clear the Abons, to clear the Aubades. Also, Grove Keepers can be really, really troubling. And I am simply scared of losing the board and then losing the game. Well, I definitely think that Life Ward rather should be discarded. I don't recommend playing Life Ward in this matchup.
Hello again. Let's take a look at the decks that the blue player from Cant, this the Wolfpack, and blue player from the Keyfrogs brought for the third round of this KOTE 8 tournament. So on the left side from the Cant this we see Arngay Ravine Knight, and on the other side, on the left side, we see Pon the Large, the Devil of Despit from the Keyfrogs. So basically, what I'm looking at now are two beautiful rush decks that doesn't care about the board, don't care about opponent's ember, maybe not as much as about generating their own ember, and they care actually about artifacts, because both decks run some nasty artifacts here and have some ways to control them. Let's start from the Can't Touch This deck. What I'm looking here now is nice Brobnar, crazy Logos, and wow, that Shadows. So basically, this Brobnar is our board control deck, board control house. We have some big creatures like Lull the Titanic, Ogopogo, we have Groggins, and we have the war chest to get some amber for killing our opponent creatures. We also have Smith to ensure that we generate some amber in this house. We could hit our opponent with First Blood, with this amount of creatures, with 5 creatures from Brobnar. That First Blood won't be hitting for a lot of damage, but it's still 1 ember. And we have some semi-control with Burn the Stockpile. Mostly we won't be keeping it because we would love to go and generate some amber, so we won't be playing it, we won't be keeping it. But it could be useful against another rush deck. So let's take a look at the Logos house. So we start with Binet Rupture. We don't have graft here, so we are just mostly we will be discarding this, but there is 1 or 2 very useful plays that could use this Binet Rupture to our advantage, especially when we are not so high on amber and our opponent is also not so high on amber. We could play Binet Rupture, then Helper Bot into Ronnie Risklocks, or maybe into Burn the Stockpile. So we still have some ways of controlling our opponent's ember, even in a house that doesn't have this control. So as I said before, Helper Bot really useful, Archimedes used with helper bots could be something, because we love to recur this helper bots. We will love to play them again, so we will be probably wanting to destroy them in a way or another when they are next to Archimedes. Also, we see triple remote access, and taking a look at our opponent's deck, we see Life Ward, and we see Potion from the Sanctum house. So these are the first two cards that I would love to use this remote access on, because they are consumables. We could also use Library of the Damned to archive some cards that could be used in later turns, like for example Ronnie Risklocks or this Burn the Stockpile. The rest of the house is just pretty normal logos. We won't be using our Pocket Universe because our opponent is playing Poltergeist. We would probably play this Library of Babel to give our opponent some choice between Gauntlet of Command, War Chest, Library of Babel, and Saddle Mole to use his Poltergeist on. And these shadows, well, triple Ronnie Risklocks is always nice, but we also see triple Lamindras, and that's not so good. Also, Shadow House see 2 alpha cards, so if we want to play Swindle, we won't play Sucker Punch, and if we want to play Sucker Punch, we won't play Swindle. That's something we don't like to see. Overall, 5 alpha cards in a deck, it's 2 cards too much, especially when they are from the same house. Lethal Distraction could be useful, but the only card that we could pair it with is Sucker Punch, which is alpha, so it's not possible, and Nerve Blast. Of course, we could use it for example with Helper Bot, but the second Helper Bot would have to play, for example, Lava Ball from Brobnar, so it's too much fast to actually make it work. I would say that this little distraction could be pretty much useless here. So let's switch to our opponent's deck, so the deck from the Keyfrogs team. What we see here is pretty nice Sanctum, Untamed with a key cheat, and some option to generate a lot of amber during one turn, and this with Life Ward, this with Poltergeist, this with Library of the Damned, with Pit Lord and Skullion. So here I see some pretty nice combos. So maybe let's start with this. So Poltergeist is obviously a premium card in every deck, because sometimes our opponent's artifacts could be a pain in the back for us. So we could always use them and then destroy them. We see Exhume, and I see at least one card that I would love to exhume here, but I will return to it later. Life Ward, which is not a premium card in this matchup, but overall it's super cool to have Life Ward in your deck. Why we are not going to play this in this matchup? Because Can't Touch This are running triple remote access, so you could be almost sure that even if you want just to play this Life Ward and then pop it in the next round, they probably have this remote access in hand. Charette is obviously good. Other cards are the standard high value from this. And this little combo, Pitlord with Skullion, could ensure that you won't be playing this for a long time, and you will play Pitlord, which is basically a good creature with double Ember, which is always good. and then you immediately destroy it with your Scullion. Sanctum could help you with your disc creatures, but with Begun, but you won't be playing it to destroy your creatures, because the only creature you really want to destroy is Pitlord, and it won't let you play Sanctum. Equalize could be a good counter against some Worlds Collide or Mass Mutation decks, but still, in this matchup, it won't give us any value. What I see here that could really benefit us is Martyr's End with 21 creatures, and this card could be actually very, very beneficial for us, because our opponent is not using any board clears or any scaling Amber control, despite text of Keyfrogs saying that he is, because Burn the Stockpile is actually counted as a scaling Amber control. But we could really benefit from Martyr's End, and then we could simply play Untamed with Chota Hazri after in the next round, or we could just exhume our Chota Hazri. So we see here that this Martyr's End could be our combo for the second and third key if we manage to pull this out. And take a look at this Untamed. So you are running Full Moon with some nice creatures like Groove Keepers that let your creatures stay on the board, with Lupo the Scared that could hit your opponent, combined with Save the Pack, could basically destroy every creature on the board. Kindred Longshot that could also, by reaping, put some damage on your opponent's creatures, and then you could play Save the Pack. And the creme de la creme, Taliga with Chota Hazri. So basically, when you play Full Moon and then Chota Hazri, you could say that you want the effects from the Full Moon first, and then the play effects from the Chota Hazri. So you basically are forging key when you have 6 Ember. Then you could just play Chota Hazri, gain this 1 Ember, lose it, and then forge. So what I see here is a pretty rush deck that could win because it runs a key cheat. In this matchup, of course, our Ember control is basically capturing with Obey the Grims, maybe with Chale the Safeguards, but what we are going to do here is to play Teliga, try to keep her on the board with some Groove Keepers, with some taunts from the Sanctum house, using Protect the Weak, for example, and then we would love to play this Martyr's End and then Chota Hazri when we have a lot of Ember. Our opponent is not running any combos like that, and I would put my money on the Keyfrogs again. So I would say that it's not as big advantage as lately, but here I would say it's 40-60. So let's watch the game and see it by ourselves.
Hello.
Right. So what a starting hand from both sides. I mean, I would probably mulligan the top one just because of doubling my access to start with, though.
But you have also got a lot of speed with the help of being able to get some extra damage in. So yeah, I'd probably kept hold that as well. Interesting going to Titan Guardian first. I'd probably gone with the help bot, but want to drop my Midriel, I guess. But I'm more efficiency based. But then Common Cold would have wiped it out, so it turned out to be a better play. Doesn't play Save the Pack. He's not too bothered about time mechanic here. Grove Keeper's going to do a lot of work to increase the power.
Mm-hmm. But time mechanic by itself isn't that much of a threat on the whole, so.
Interesting choice to go with the time mechanic to get rid of the Grove Keeper, but did the extra work. ZYX researcher to archive top card deck, not archiving the lab work. And goes for a little midget over the Nerve Blast. A lot of steel in hand. We've seen. Oh no, did archive the remote access with the ZYX researcher. So we've seen all 3 remote accesses very early. It's a bit of a shame to see. Now we see a streak and an exhume onto Grove Keeper. So streak is not going to die here, and is going to continue to do a lot of work, which is going to put Saurus at a very big disadvantage. Uses Nerve Blast to get rid and gets rid of Grove Keeper, and then plays the Midtree again and uses one of his clocks to put PAQ onto 0. Marzen doesn't sacrifice it to get any additional amber. Obeyed, putting Saurus down onto 0. Well, onto 1. And streak. And now we're protected by taunt as well. First blood doesn't really get you anything here. Lollop and Ogo Pogo. Interesting choice here. Discard saves the pack again. Doesn't really do anything. That's a good choice. Grovekeeper gonna make Obey big. Cringe with Log Shot, Skirmish, Elusive, and Reap deal 2 damage to a target creature. Plays Chota and loses his only Amber before then fighting Ogopogo to prevent the damage to his sides. Yep, just give Saurus a free binary rupture there by getting rid of the only Amber they had through Chota Hazari. And that's going to be Reap. Gets to 7. Has got answers for it in Dis. So we're going to see Poltergeist blow up the Subtle Maul. Easy choice. Discards the Swindle off the Subtle Maul. There's a hell of an RNG pick there. Charette gets the Amber down, and Old Jerk to discard and very quickly go for the deck.
That's a hell of a board.
Understanding the matchup here is very important. Well played, that Chota. Fair enough. Chota's not really one I'd play to get rid of Amber, but I imagine that PAQ knows what they're doing. When Armistice comes down, increasing the Amber. And then we see an Untamed Ambassador as well. The board is getting huge here from PAQ. Both players on 4, very grindy game. So it's got to be looking for an out to get rid of these creatures that all the Amber get trapped on it.
I know it's 6 minutes of the game left as well. I mean, these games are sped up, don't forget everyone, but the timer is in the bottom left here.
And I imagine there's more than 6 minutes left. It's just hidden by the card.
If you say so. We'll find out.
Job comes down. Shula to steal one. But we are going to see Saurus Antonius forging first. But PAQ is going to be right on the heels of doesn't Reap, playing around these Ronnies, knows that Saurus has got 3 Ronnies in this deck. So does not want to give Saurus any additional value where they don't have to. Helperbot into Ronnie. Interesting positioning there. I'd probably put the Ronnie next to the Archimedes as opposed to the Helperbot, just to keep that archiving train going.
I don't know, but Helperbot it's a difficult one. Ronnie's only useful if you know he's going to be more than 7. Stealing 1 isn't a bit.
Well, even at 6, it still takes PAQ off the key. And Saurus is now working towards his second key while PAQ is now to fight for this key.
That is
the
true.
more you fear the Ronnie, the more in trouble you're going to be getting. And now we see Teal'c drop. We know how dangerous a Teal'c can be.
That's one hell of a board.
PAQ pushing all the way up to 9 now, has seen the majority of Ronnies. It's basically, you haven't got a Ronnie now. Uses persistent hunting to get rid of all the shadow creatures just in case they have. First blood to deal 2 damage. Nothing wonderful there. Uses Lob to fight Teal'c so he can drop the Grog. Drop Groggins, drop Lob the Titanic. And then Saurus Antonius will... Well, Warchester will get an additional 1. So PAQ is on 10. So it is evened out quite a lot. And there we see Pit Lord. it's got to be a discard of the Pit Lord until you at least plays Grey Rider, uses Grey Rider to fight Grub into Groke, not realizing that Groke has actually got elusive off the Lemindra.
Yeah, Lemindra's a good catch like that.
But PAQ going up to 11. Saurus Antonius has been able to get the Forge, but now we see Smith. First Blood wipes the board. Then we see Groke take up 1. And here we see Saurus Antonius just clearing up the board, going for this Amber. The War Chest is going to do a lot of work here. Smith is going to get high enough up. Obed the Grim currently buys a turn. PQ gets the second key. But Saurus Antonius, thanks to the War Chest, is at 11. And yeah, there's absolutely nothing. We see the Pit Lord, Scullion, and we see the discard of the Life Ward, which is what Saurus Antonius wanted in his chat. Saurus Antonius takes it, tying it up at 1 apiece.
That's a great game.